Well, insulting. How dare you? It's fine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. James is once again driven out just to be here with you folks and hear your fine stories. Welcome back to the show, James.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
I am, as always, joined by Christian. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, got that out of the way.
Greatest person you've ever met, part of that you normally put in there.
Wow, that applies to almost every single song I could pick right here, but I'm not going to because that feels like you're baiting me, and I will not allow it. Folks, welcome back to Freaky Listener Stories, Volume 9, where this is the first time we recorded this, and definitely not the second. Either way.
We had someone drive all the way out to Fairbanks to be part of this episode. And
all the way out from Fairbanks, yes.
Isn't that what I said?
I don't know. It was like, what, 15 seconds ago?
I don't know either.
Who cares? We'll see you guys on the inside.
You are now entering the realm of the freaky deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically.
And now we're on the inside. It's magic.
That's what we talk about here.
Church magic.
There you go. Church magic, no doubt. I know. I get so sad this is so small. I have to cycle through 15 different pages, and church magic was one of the best. I got to bring it back. I'll revive it. Don't worry.
I do like church magic.
He does.
I want a shirt that says church magic.
Don't tempt me, Christian. You know, I make exclusively weird merch. So
I'll wear it Sundays at the store.
Yes, that sounds a little sacrilege, but that's okay, I guess.
What, people that shop at a weed store can't go to church?
No, guys selling weed can't wear shirts that say church magic. It just feels wrong, you know? It feels wrong. In my heart of hearts,
I thought we were just being
wrong.
Respectful of church magic.
Wow. And we're back. Anyway, folks, if you're new to the show, we ask one thing of you, and that's that you check it out in its entirety. And if you're a fan of what you hear, you slap a 5-star review on that bad boy wherever you're listening, preferably Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because that's where I go to check things. And apparently that's important. It's fine.
Wherever you're at, 5 stars.
We are also there.
No, the spirits are there.
Okay. Anyway.
Looking at you.
Yeah. So a little backstory. Christian and I have recorded this before. I think we touched on that a couple episodes back because it was still very fresh in my mind. So a couple of these stories are repeats from listener stories of the past. Sometimes people will send in multiple stories at a time, be like, hey, this is all my stuff. I'm like, hell yeah. And I just kind of sprinkle it around. What's happening? Is that like
I like it.
Oh.
I don't know what it is.
I know you hit
Felt
that.
like a headband, though. Sorry.
Yeah, it seems that way. Okay. So anyway, thanks for that, Christian. Yeah, so we got some duplicates in here, including, I don't know if you've heard Lera's story, but we have a follow-up to that one, which is absolutely wild. I don't know how you feel about the occult and the reality of witchcraft and stuff like that.
My favorite type of craft.
There you go. Next to air, of course. But yeah, so that is an absolutely wild story that people are going to get a kick out of. And I love hearing your opinions on all these things, Christian, because it's simply the best. But we're going to start things off with a story from Amanda, who I also believe was either an 8 or 7. But this is recanting some experiences from her haunted homes growing up. It says, I was in 9th grade when my parents lost our home and we had to move into a rental house. It was a smaller place and I always thought it had a dark, creepy vibe. I figured it was just my mind playing tricks on me.
I like the song.
And also like everything you say whenever there's a story that comes on the show.
But that's not what
it's
I
your
always
mind
say.
playing tricks on you. Everyone get them. No, it's fine. But then strange things started happening. The lights would dim to the point of almost going out or go into full blackouts throughout the house. Our landlord called an electrician, and while he said the wiring was dated, it shouldn't have been causing those problems. Then, the faucet in the upstairs bathroom would turn on by itself, even when no one was up there.
Sometimes, like when I hear about faucets turning on, I want to know what kind of handle it has. Does it have the twisty kind, or does it have the kind you just push to the side a little bit? Anyway, go on with the story.
We are known for focusing on all the wrong details of most stories, so you're getting to see this in real time, James. It truly is a treat. Yeah, so faucet upstairs bathroom would turn on by itself even when no one was up there. Things really started to get scary after that. One day I was home alone talking on the phone with a friend. It was a landline attached to the kitchen wall downstairs. You remember those. You might not remember those, actually. Landline phones?
We had one for a little bit.
Hell yeah, with the windy little
the spring one that you could practically whip people with.
Hell yeah, and you'd always sit on bed with, and like you're just crossing your legs and talking about the people you like or whatever.
You ever jump roped over one of those?
Can't say that I have.
Ripped it straight out of the wall.
Yeah, see?
There you go.
It happens.
There you go. It happens.
Some are that long.
Some are that long. Wow. Okay.
Move
Great soundbite that I get to use in the future. Anyway, suddenly I heard a loud bang from upstairs. I hung up the phone and went to check it out. To my shock, I found my 6-drawer dresser knocked over, lying on the ground. Something had shoved it over. I was frozen for a moment, but then quickly picked it up, putting the drawers and everything else back in place. I ran out of the house and stayed outside until my family got home. My dad worked 2 hours away, so on weekends my mom and younger sister would pick him up, leaving me and my other sister, I'm the oldest, to finish chores. One night, we were doing dishes and chatting about school drama, probably with the phones and the legs thing that I was talking about earlier. The only light was in the kitchen and a small radio played in the background. All of a sudden, we heard the white noise static of a TV. My sister and I looked at each other confused. I dried my hands and went into the living room where our old tube TV was on, showing static. My sister went pale. I hurriedly unplugged the TV, telling her it was probably just a power surge from the old wiring. We went back to the kitchen and tried to continue our conversation, but after a few minutes, the static sound returned. We ran back to the living room, and to our horror, the TV had turned itself on again, without the power cord plugged in. We freaked out and ran outside, waiting for hours until our parents came home. Years later, my dad brought up that night, asking why my sister and I had been sitting outside. When we told him the story, he wasn't surprised. He said, "I always thought that place was haunted because of the creepy stuff that happened. Even my fish would jump out of its tank and die, which had never happened before or since. I was also scratched in that house with 3 marks on my hand. We moved out after 6 months. My parents said it was because the lease was up, but we later found out that they had their own unsettling experiences and decided to move us out." My second haunted house, do you want to touch on that one before I get into the next? Or do you want to go through both of them?
The TV part of this story is fascinating. You ever had that happen to a TV? Because I never have.
Not while it was unplugged.
Yeah, the power thing seems to be
That's kind of important.
usually an indicator, yeah.
The fish thing was wild to me because it's...
Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me. You're glad you didn't hit that pen. I'm like, what the hell? Are we about to be abducted right now? I forgot I turned on the heat.
The fish thing was wild because my mind went to this, like, does the fish being an animal sense that something is weird in the house and decide to
just off itself?
Yeah, off
right
itself.
there.
Or does the spirit in your house have some weird thing about fish that it scooped it out of its bowl and just spiked it on the ground?
But I hate this fish.
Yeah.
Had enough of this thing.
Multiple.
Yeah, wild. Did you turn off the heater?
I thought I did. Go check it.
Okay.
Maybe I did it wrong.
Sometimes it takes a second.
I turned it to off.
That was your first mistake.
Oh. No, you didn't. You didn't even touch it.
I reached out, you didn't see it.
Oh, church magic again.
Church magic.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, the TV thing. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced a tube TV.
Yes.
I mean, they did have that thing where you turn it off and it had that little burst of energy that came through, but it didn't keep going.
That's true.
Unless it's a scary movie, that's not a thing. So, but obviously in a haunted house, it is.
Apparently it is, according to Amanda. Yeah, those are great. That's a great story, Amanda. I'm actually going to get into the second one, and then we can kind of discuss the whole thing.
Okay.
She says, my second haunted house was in Washington State on a naval base. I had married young and moved away from my family and friends. The house was dark and cold, which I initially blamed on it being fall in the Pacific Northwest. Preach. But even with all the windows open, there was hardly any light in the house. I had 2 dogs, and they refused to go into one particular room. It smelled strange and was always freezing cold. So I turned it into a storage room and avoided it as much as possible. Then things got weirder. The furnace would only work when my husband was home. The moment he left for work, it would shut off and refuse to turn back on. This was during winter, so I called the housing office. They sent a technician who said the furnace was in perfect condition, but the strange thing was that it would always start working again when my husband called or texted to say he was on his way home. It was weird, but I tried not to think too much of it. Our kitchen was galley style, which I think we argued about in the last one. Do you know what galley style is?
No, I don't.
Does that sound like, with the swinging doors maybe, like a large open kitchen?
That's what I was thinking, but that sounds odd to have in a kitchen.
Right? Yeah, for like your house. Christian's going to Google. That's fine. We're trying to be creative over here, but I'll continue until you pull that up.
Okay.
So it was galley style, and I kept the doors closed to keep the dogs out, especially since our golden retriever liked to help herself to any food that was left on the counter. You know what I think it is? One big swinging door.
I don't think it has anything to do with the door.
Or is it
Really?
one of those doors that cut off in the middle? So like the top can swing and the bottom
Possibly.
is separate.
There's a lot of options, a lot of door options, turns out.
A galley kitchen or corridor kitchen is characterized by 2 parallel countertops or walls divided by a 3 to 5 foot walk-in area in between.
So it's just small
Wow,
kitchen.
it had nothing to do with the doors.
Yeah.
Christian, why didn't you say that?
You said it last time too. It had
Did
nothing.
I?
Yeah, and I
I
was
thought
like,
it was like saloon doors is what I was
That's what I
picturing
was
for
thinking.
whatever reason.
that would probably be called saloon doors.
You know, now that you mentioned that, it sounds accurate.
But now we know what a galley style kitchen is.
I'm going to forget.
And we
Whatever.
can get one when we custom build our next home.
True.
All of us together.
I'm
We're all
invited.
moving in.
Kumbaya.
We
I'm
did.
invited. I feel special.
There you go. Welcome. Welcome to the show, James. You're never allowed to leave.
Don't bring that black slithery thing that your grandfather saw, though.
Yeah, if you keep that away, that'd be great.
That was him. Mine was a lot worse. It was a wolf.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, take your pick, you know?
Dogman.
So, especially since our golden retriever liked to help herself to any food left on the counter, one day the doors were closed and I heard a glass break. I thought maybe there'd been a tremor from an earthquake and something had slipped off the counter, but when I went in, I realized the glasses were drying upside down on a towel. One of them had broken, but none of the others had moved. I couldn't figure out how it happened. This happened a few more times. Another unsettling event was when my Rottweiler and I were asleep on the couch. Suddenly, one side of the couch lifted off the floor and then dropped with a thud, waking both of us. My dog bolted down the hallway while I jumped up, startled. And at night, something would tug at my hair. My husband would see my hair lift up on its own while we were lying in bed. He would try to smooth it down to calm me. This became a regular occurrence. One night after an argument, I went to sleep on the couch. Just as I was dozing off, I felt a sharp pain in my face. I ran to the bedroom, waking my husband and asking him why he'd slapped me. He was confused, saying he hadn't touched me. I showed him the handprint on my face and we were both shocked. The most intense experience happened when I actually saw the entity. My husband and I had argued again and I was sitting in the hallway feeling hopeless. Suddenly the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I looked up and saw a man standing near me. He was wearing a black shirt, camo pants, black boots, and dark aviator sunglasses. He looked like someone from the Vietnam War era. Before that, I'd had nightmares of a man hanging himself in that smelly bedroom because he came home to find his wife had left him. I stared at him in disbelief until he faded away. I grabbed my dogs, left the house, and drove around until daylight. We lived in that house for a year and a half before being moved to a new housing division. They tore down the old house, and I don't know if that man still haunts the land or if he's found peace. Wow. That's a pretty wild ride, Amanda. Thank you.
The way she was explaining the encounters that she had made it sound like she was being attacked by a female.
That's what I
Exactly.
thought.
Yeah.
Like a succubus thing that was attached to the man.
Succubus.
Yeah,
I was
attached
just
to the
going to
guy.
say a jealous ghost.
Could be a succubus trying to claim its territory.
I don't
I'm
thi-
working on, for our After Dark, I'm working on an Incubus Succubus episode that is, I am so terrified to read the stories in that thing because there's a lot of trigger warnings.
I love Incubus.
Turns out. Yep, he's
Great-
all for the
great music.
male.
It's great
sex
music.
Ghosts.
Great
Turns
music.
out. Oh, okay, yeah, that one. Yeah, we saw him in Anchorage. Not that great, turns out, and that's fine. But what do you think about this? It pretty much proves ghosts at the very least, right?
That's it?
Yeah, it's our listener Amanda sending in a story about this thing that absolutely checks out for all the shit that was happening to her.
It would have been amazing if she could have taken a picture of the red mark on her face.
There you go. Yeah.
It still feels like a jealous ghost. Being a naval housing, there's possibility
Oh yeah,
that it could be some multiple
hanky
ghosts.
panky going on.
Yeah.
in
but,
the past.
But does it feel jealous or does it feel like it hates women? because he found his wife cheating on him.
Yeah, that could be.
So that, like, yeah, at first I thought it was a jealous ghost, but then hearing that detail, I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't know. It seems like he might just not like the ladies, you know.
Hey, he leaves the fireplace on for the guy, so
there you go.
He's got something going for him.
That's
he
true.
keeps the guy warm.
He's like, oh, the man's coming home. Oh, the patriarch of the house? Good. Hold on a second. Let's keep him heated.
Yeah, let me show this woman how it's done.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's taking over the roles. He's like, why aren't you doing this?
Interesting that somebody could move into multiple haunted houses.
I mean, I feel like I've had a couple that I saw a lot more shit than I did anywhere else. Like, there's been a couple of residences where it was a little spookier. Like this place, I've only had a couple weird things happen. So it's not even like frequent or anything like that. But I think this stuff is all over the place, to be honest. I think there's a lot. The earth has been around for a while. You know, you don't think that someone has died right here. Someone's probably died right here.
Someone.
Who knows who, but it's right here. I'm pointing to the ground right in front of me. Someone's probably dead right there.
In the podcast studio, that would explain the reason we're recording this episode again.
Someone might have died here. Yeah, our last guest.
And they didn't like one of the stories.
Sure,
you need to check up on all the readers that you're reading, see if it's not one of them.
I think it might be. Anyway, great stories, Amanda. Thank you for sharing those.
Felt a little poltergeisty.
A little poltergeisty from Christian. That's beautiful. We don't get that very often. Anyway, this next one is from Jessica. I'm not going to say this every story, but I believe she was also in Volume 8. Shout out to people that send us multiple stories for the record. You keeping the lights on here. Anyway, she got a couple of them.
Did we just become a hotel commercial?
We'll keep the lights on for you. Yeah.
It's Tom Bodette.
Wow. Beautiful. Anywho, let's get into it. And I should reiterate, I had ample time to go through and add titles to these stories. Did I not? We recorded this last week. I messed up. I should have just gone through. Guess who didn't do it? This guy. So this story is called More Stories from Jessica. It's a very riveting title. I hope that really sucked you guys in. Anyway, first one goes, I'm going to share a bunch of weird things that have happened in my life. It says ready, set, go. And I think I should have had more energy for that. Now I feel bad. It's fine. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to move on. It's fine.
Please move on.
I'm going to. When I was about 8, I went to the library and checked out a kid's book called A is for Apple, W is for Witch. Oh no. That's a very poor choice, Jessica. After reading it, I decided to make up a spell to make myself disappear. My little sister and I were playing hide and seek, and I hid under her bed and said the spell. When she finally looked under the bed, her face practically next to mine, it was like she didn't see me. She looked right through me and kept searching. After that, I was convinced I wanted to be a witch, just like my mom. She's a Christian now, and so am I. So is Christian.
But she was originally Hermione.
Okay.
With the good spell work.
Okie dokie.
A wizard, not a witch.
Yeah.
There you go. And here we are. Anyways, throughout my life, I played with Ouija boards, and my mom even made one for me when I was in my early 20s using her own blood. Holy hell. Wow. Jinkies.
Dedication.
Jessica, that is some hardcore dedication.
Church magic again.
My sister in Christ, no less. When I played with that one, it went crazy. It was moving so fast, I had no idea at the time what it meant when it kept going from Z to O over and over again.
It's horrible.
Uh-oh.
I've heard
Zozo.
that. Yeah.
I had my own encounter with Zozo, if you recall. Do you recall?
I recall.
Of course, because I never stopped talking about it because it's that wild. Anyway.
Also Zozo. Easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun alleys that you can go down with that one. Christian just likes to beg, nah.
I feel like every time we talk about this so-called demon Zozo, I should bring up my favorite so-called demon, Zoe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Philip, the goat.
No. That's Black Phillip to you.
Sorry.
But I do like that.
I don't see the world in racial lenses, Christian.
Black
I apologize.
Phillip is not a demon.
He's
Black
the devil.
Phillip is the devil.
Okay. Oopsie.
Yeah, get it right.
Guess I need to watch The Witch.
Great movie.
Dirty sinner. It's fine. So she says, after the Zozo, she said, I understand now. I looked at my mom and said, I don't want this. Great call.
That is a great call.
Yeah, being like, you know what?
Just because it's made with blood, I'm not worried about the Zozo thing.
I'm good with the mom blood Ouija board, actually, turns out.
What kind of blood was it, though?
Hers.
Shark Week.
I feel like, and I'm not going to go into detail here.
Well, it feels like you're about to.
I'm not, but there are certain types of blood that is more magical when it comes from a woman. And I'm going to leave the rest there.
Oh, my goodness. Christian, what a strange Jessica, I am so sorry.
I am sorry too, but I do the research for some of these episodes, especially
that is 100% TFD After Dark material, my friend. That is.
I'm just talking about blood. I don't know what you're imagining I'm talking about.
What else could I be imagining? Wow.
I've said it a couple of times, but I'm not going to say it any louder.
There you go. Yeah, it's this guy always pushing the boundary. I see why the people on YouTube assault you constantly.
Moonblood.
Oh. Yeah, I was thinking that too. So anyway, a few years ago, I was on a Zoom call getting prayed over in an attempt at deliverance.
What is deliverance?
It's when you are afflicted by a demon and you want that affliction to go away.
Is that why they called that one movie Deliverance?
You know, I actually wasn't on the production team of that one, but if I had to wager a guess, I'd say yeah, probably.
But there's no demons in that one.
Well, what's the plot of the movie?
Well, it's kind of...
You know what? This isn't the place for the movie.
Bad things. It's an old movie. I don't remember it.
You're being afflicted by entities.
Okay. That's all I wasn't sure. I had a feeling that's what it was.
Through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Come on. I was hoping you would finish it, but you're not going to, and that's fine. One day.
Sounds like our favorite thing, church magic.
It's fine. I'm going to get back to Jessica's story because I feel like we've really
Sorry, Jessica. I really apologize.
Sorry that Christian is both a pervert and distracting.
I am not a pervert. I was making a statement about certain types of witchcraft.
Okie dokie. A few years ago, I was on a Zoom call getting prayed over in an attempt at deliverance.
What's deliverance?
I was gonna stop you before you even say. I'm like, you've already heard it, Christian. Not again. That night, I had a dream where a demon entered my body. I levitated up to the ceiling, my limbs bent backwards, and I crawled across the ceiling in that twisted form. No thank you to the visuals happening in my mind's eye at the moment. It felt real. When I woke up, there was a figure looming over me, and I was flooded with fear and dread. I didn't try to get delivered again after that. One time, back when we were on drugs and living in a trailer, we came home to find the place trashed. Stuff was thrown everywhere, and it was unnaturally cold inside, almost breezy. At that point, we weren't Christians, but my husband remembered the Holy Spirit from his childhood. He grabbed a Bible, and as soon as he started reading from it, the cold vanished and the place felt peaceful again. A few days later, we woke up to find the Bible ripped and the couch pillows torn open with stuffing everywhere. It was just the two of us living there, and we were definitely experiencing some strange things during those weeks. Sure, meth was involved, but being high doesn't mean we didn't experience all that crazy stuff. And then story 2, she says, I wanted to share a few more things that have happened in my life. Maybe you can use them for future episodes if I'm worthy enough. Haha, turns out you are. Thank you. You're taking
Not
time
everybody has a blood-produced Ouija board.
And we're getting back into that. All right.
I'm just saying, that's pretty special.
That is
My mom
pretty
never
special.
gave me one of those.
You could.
Did you ask Christian? Because
No,
that's
no.
usually...
Did you ask her for one?
Yeah.
No, she would have been terrified of that stuff.
Yeah, she should have been.
She wouldn't even let me play Dungeons and Dragons when I was little.
Well, she was just trying to keep you safe, you know, from humiliation from all your friends at school.
Watch your mouth.
I know everyone I talk to, especially in this genre, loves it.
I have played it since then, and it was fun.
I could never get into it. You know why?
Because your mom.
Christian mother. Yep.
Yep.
Couldn't do that or Pokemon. But hey, joke's on you, Mom. I played Pokemon Go for like 2 years, damn it.
She didn't know it was on your phone?
It was on my phone. And it was the time of my life. I lost so much weight playing Pokemon Go.
When's your mom going to be out here?
I think she wants to do November to January.
I'm going to tell on you.
Do it. I dare you. I light up in front of her now. I'm like, what are you going to do, Mom? It's my house. It's my house and my rules. I don't say that's my mom, and she doesn't listen to the show, so I can get away with it. It's fine.
Talks a lot of trash on this show.
I do. You've met me in person. I'm not hard at all, right? I'm very soft. You've seen me in sweatpants. This is a very comfortable thing we're doing here.
Socks and sweatpants. I mean,
they're pretty great sweatpants. They're pretty great.
Nobody should wear sweatpants while they're podcasting.
You know what? It's called leisure, all right? I'm trying to set an ambiance.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Okay, Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, well, he got a few things right, didn't he, in his time?
His little smoking
you
jacket.
say so. Just start taking off clothes.
I know, yeah. We're getting very comfortable here. Oopsie. Yeah, so anyway, into story 2. My oldest son was about 3 or 4. We were living in this rundown trailer. He had just been potty trained and was using the bathroom like a champ. But one day, he suddenly refused to go in there. When I asked why, he pointed to a corner of the ceiling and said, I don't like the man with boo-boos all over his face. Creepy. There was no way he was making that up. At that time, I wasn't a believer, so I grabbed some sage and cleansed the area. Quotes around cleansed like it deserves. Anyway, after that, he never mentioned it again, but the way he described it still creeps me out. And why is it always in a corner of a ceiling? That is a great point. Another time, about 2 years ago, and my daughter was around 5, she came to me one night and said, "Mommy, one night I went to the kitchen in the middle of the night to get a drink, and I saw a creepy guy crawling on the floor." No thank you. He didn't have a mouth. It was just skin. Deadpool from that one X-Men movie. He was really scary. So I ran back to bed with Grandma. My daughter doesn't watch anything scary. There's no way she saw something like that on TV or in video games. She gave me more details at the time, but I can't remember everything she said. I prayed over her, anointed the house, and asked Jesus to erase that memory from her mind. Thankfully, she doesn't remember it anymore, but I'll never forget. I'll send you another email with a couple of weird dreams I've had. Thanks for the podcast, guys. You're my favorite weirdos. Beautiful. Jessica, those are terrifying stories. Thank you for being the reason that I won't be getting sleep tonight.
And you're going to post this podcast, and in like 15 years, her daughter's going to listen to it. All the trauma is just going to come back.
Like, oh my God, I remember.
I thought it was just my childhood imagination, but the man was really there with us, all the boo-boos and the guy crawling on the floor without a mouth.
What is the deal with the corner of the room? Like the upper corner is when, like, where a lot of people see shit. It always baffles me.
There's probably rules where they have to be.
You can only peek in from the top corner. That's the rule.
I mean, there's certain, ancient geography and magic that just has to do with triangles.
There you go.
Corner's a good one.
Geometry, right? Sacred geometry. There you go.
Are we going to put that in quotes like the cleansing?
No.
I don't see how she moved past had a bent figure frame and climbing on the ceiling part.
Mm-hmm.
She got over that one pretty quickly, it seems.
Yeah. I think the reason that sounded familiar, I'm pretty sure she sent that in as a nightmare for one of our dream episodes. Because as I was reading, I'm like, holy shit, did I already put this story in there?
I've never heard that story before, though.
I think you have, but that shows how bad your memory is. So checks out.
True. It works out for us.
Yeah, that is a pretty terrifying nightmare for sure. But the thing that daughter saw on the floor, crawling with skin instead of a mouth, that sounds like a demon, dude. That sounds like someone trying to scare some kid for no reason. Was she living
in Washington? And it was maybe...
It wasn't D.C., though.
No, the other Washington and the ghost of Kurt Cobain.
I thought you were going to say that all politicians are demons.
Too soon for me to make a comment about what his mouth looks.
It's not soon enough, Christian.
Okay.
Where were those Kurt Cobain death jokes in the past where we needed them?
Should have went to like the living room as well to see if it was also repainted for some reason.
There you go.
True. I don't know. What would you do if you saw something in the corner looking at you with boo-boos?
And it wasn't someone losing their religion.
I don't know. If I was in bed, I would turn over and try to go to bed.
I've done that.
If I wasn't in bed, I don't know, flip the house and leave.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm such a big baby in person, but when I see stuff, there's a slower reaction to it because I'm still processing. I'm like, what the actual fuck is that?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, but I'm still fearful, especially something like that, because I don't know if I can punch it. So.
We had one story recently. I think it was in a video maybe, but it was pretty much someone, some witchcraft related. She was wondering if she did the spell right, and she went back through and looked, and she was like, oh no, I did the spell wrong. The night before, after doing that spell, she was in bed reading or something like that, and in the corner of her eye, she sees a shadow person just sitting on the floor, and when she looks over, it slaps backwards onto the floor and gets dragged under the bed. And I'm like, I still think about that, man. We did that a few weeks ago, and it's in my head. I'm like, I don't like that.
Terrifying.
That is just the sound and everything. No thanks. Shadow people, Christian, they're real, and turns out they're scary.
Of course they're scary, because you're looking into another dimension you don't understand.
It's a physical representation of a black hole.
If you were in that dimension, though, and you saw Scott sitting on the floor, slap backwards and slide under the bed.
It'd be pretty freaky, too, yeah.
Damn it. Our fans are going to be upset we can't put the podcast together anymore.
True.
And then I'd roll over and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Try to forget about it.
With a demon hand on your buttocks.
That wasn't Scott. That wasn't Scott. Go sleep.
I know. Do I scare them, too?
It's his doppelganger, and I work with him. His name's Tony.
Tony. Yeah, apparently I have a doppelganger. All this time doing this podcast, I never knew.
You should just come into the store just to meet Tony one day. I think it'd be hilarious.
Do I have to just bust in and be like, Tony? Like just scream his name or something like that?
Like, fuck you, Tony.
Wow, that seems a little aggressive for a first impersonation, Christian. I'm all about being the good guy, you know?
Then you'd be like, my name's Ezekiel.
Wow. Is that a reference to something, or did you just pull that out of your ass?
Oh,
You
not
haven't
know?
seen that?
Have you not
What
seen
is
that?
What is it?
It's
Like a meme where,
It's just a video, like a YouTube short.
yeah, and they put these different people or animals in situations, and one's like, "Hey, what's your name?"
Oh, yeah. You're talking about,
Tony.
was it like a marmot or something like that? Or what was
Yeah,
that
it's been
creature?
in a bunch of different things, but it's hilarious
old school.
every time.
That is a callback. Holy shit.
This
yeah.
better not relate to my mother. That did your mother on it.
Yeah, I don't know why it makes me laugh so much.
It's goofy shit, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I should probably keep this rolling along, huh? This one's from Bob, another one of your ex-coworkers. You have a lot of exes, Christian.
Bob was in the military up in Fairbanks too.
Would you look at that?
I'm sorry.
Maybe you guys are related. No, just taking it way further than you did, just for the sake of it. But
I
it's
just
fine.
saw Bob a few days ago.
What about Bob?
Not a good movie.
Are you kidding me? That's a great movie. You monster.
The only good Bill Murray movie is, there's two of them, Groundhog Day and Scrooged.
And you're not even going to say, what's that other one? Striped? No. What's that?
He was in Stripes.
He was in Stripes, yeah. That was a good one.
That's an old one. I was a kid when that movie came out.
You're not even going to once gloss over Ghostbusters. You're not even going to do
Oh,
it.
son of a bitch.
Holy shit. Bill Murray's pretty great now all of a sudden, right?
I mean, he's got his moments.
Wow. Yeah, I can convince you Bill Murray's great, but I can't convince you of Bigfoot or any other shit. It's fine.
I believe in Bigfoot.
That's right. I did convince you of Bigfoot. It's fine.
No, you didn't.
I absolutely
Native
did.
Americans
Give me
convinced me.
something, Christian. Give me one thing that you believe in.
Scott and Native Americans convinced me of Bigfoot. How's that?
I'll take it for now.
Scott's in quotes.
Wow.
While I get this other story ready, you can enjoy this song
He
for a
did it
moment.
again. How does he do it? Scott is the man. He is right. It rings true.
Our listeners are so tired
Scott's
of this
always
song
Telling
already.
you, this is like a Cat in the
What
Hat
can
song.
you do?
That is actually very true. But every time you have a pee break, I just play that song now, and people are going to be so pissed. I'm like, holy shit, can't you just cut that out? And the answer is no. And if you wonder why, it's because you need to listen to the song again, you know? Anyway, so back to the story about Bob. Says, hey guys, first time writer, long time listener here. Hey, we're on the radio now. When I was around 16, I had a friend named Johnny. He was a big guy, not easily fazed, but he never liked being home. I figured it was because his mom was always away on work trips, and since he was a year or two younger than us, maybe he just didn't like being alone.
It's called Generation X, and Johnny didn't like to be left at home by himself like the rest of us.
Would you like to find out what it's called, or do you want to just call it there? Hey, Bob, he's mansplaining your story to you. Believe this guy? Holy shit. You didn't do this when he was sitting in that chair, Christian.
Bob scares me.
That's why.
Mm-hmm.
It's all explained.
And then I
now.
look at his dogs, and I'm not so scared because he's got little chihuahuas and chickens running all over the place.
Okay, you're going to make me push a button if you keep this going.
You brought it up. Move
Okey-dokey.
along.
Anyway.
Come on, Scott. We want to hear the story.
Anytime.
James doesn't have all night. He has to drive back to Fairbanks
That's right.
again.
Anytime we were going to meet up and cause some trouble, I'd go to his house, and he'd always be waiting outside. One day, I skated over to his place for our usual meetup, and sure enough, he was sitting out front. This time, I was really thirsty, so I asked him if I could go inside for a drink. He immediately offered to buy me one at the convenience store up the street instead, but it was scorching out and I was parched, so I pushed and started walking in. By this point, we were newer friends, and I'd only been inside his house once or twice. As I headed toward the door, he got visibly agitated and asked if we could just leave and grab something at the store. I gave him a hard time, mocking him like he was scared of his own house. He had never mentioned anything paranormal, but I was starting to get the feeling something was off. He kept pushing to leave, which made my teenage self dig in harder. I walked in, grabbed a glass of water, and sat on his living room recliner while he kept whining about heading to the store. As I sat there enjoying my drink, the French blinds started moving one by one, as if someone was walking past and brushing against them. There was no reason for the blinds to move. No window or vent was open or on to explain it. Just as the last blind moved, the sliding door, which the blinds partially covered, was hit by something so hard it sounded like the glass was going to shatter. We both bolted out of the house at lightning speed and didn't stop until we were in the front yard. Johnny, still catching his breath, said, "Nobody ever believes me, and it always happens." He had never told me anything before, but after that, I didn't need any more convincing. As we became closer friends, I spent more time at his place, especially on weekends when his mom was away. We'd drink, smoke, and just hang out. Poor choices, Bob. I kept trying to rationalize what had happened, but there was no explanation. No one could have been outside the glass door without us seeing them, and no vent was strong enough to move the blinds like that. It was the most terrified I'd ever been, and I still think about it 25 years later. There were plenty of other creepy things that happened while I was there, like the TV and stereo turning on by themselves, the sound of someone walking down the stairs from the single room upstairs when no one was up there, and voices or footsteps when it was just the two of us. It still gives me chills. I absolutely love the show and what you guys do. Keep on keeping it weird, bro chachos. Why, thank you, Bob.
I feel like, because he mentions the TV, and we had the earlier story talking about the TV, and I feel like first time we recorded this, I brought up the fact that now that we have these new TVs, stuff like that, the haunting stuff that affected TVs before, you don't really hear about it anymore.
It was a great bit, I remember. Yeah, it's coming back to me. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm like wondering if it had, like, what the difference between how TVs are manufactured now and how they were then, that we don't usually see stories anymore that have TVs or even computers in them.
Maybe they didn't know. Like at the time, they were familiar with TVs of the day. You know,
maybe they were just simple.
And now they're like, how the fuck do I operate? What is this, a chip? What do I do with this? How do I haunt this?
And they sit around and wait for eternity till one of their sons or daughters
it's like, damn it,
show
Dad.
up to fix the tech
A new
again.
ghost has come along.
Yeah,
that knows how to a flat screen works.
Oh, yeah. He's like, you moron, let me take over from here.
Because we used to hear a lot of ghost stories with radios and TVs affected, and we don't necessarily hear them.
But do you think that's a pop culture thing because of movies like Poltergeist and everything? So it's more in the zeitgeist, if you will, of strange things happening.
I mean, I wouldn't say in this case, I think Poltergeist would have been out before this happened to Bob and his friend, because Bob's a little younger than me.
Just a little bit, Christian? Come on.
Within 10 years, 5-10 years, I don't know.
Are you saying he's at least 450 years old, Christian? Get out of here.
Okay, 430.
There you go. All right.
He acts older than me, though, sometimes.
Yeah. Can't have that.
I was kind of talking about this earlier, but like that was one of the things that like older generations won't talk about their stuff for some reason. His friend, who it was Bob, going to Johnny's house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even his friend that was coming over that day and had the potential to witness the stuff, and he did, he wouldn't tell him something's happening and we don't need to be here right now. He kept trying to like say, hey, let's just go to the store instead. He's like, he won't just tell his friend this is happening. Now they definitely don't do it, and you have to like pry it out of them.
Exactly. So do you think that's a generational thing then? You, speaking from that generation, your Generation X, your parents tell you don't tell anything, don't say this to someone, blah, blah, blah. So they almost force you into a mindset where you keep things to yourself.
I totally agree with that. I mean, you guys are both way younger than me.
Yeah. That is
but it was different true. Back then. Also, I don't know, it's just a different world, and maybe some of the people, even if they were your friends, they would give you a hard time. Now we just make a TikTok of it.
Well, we don't.
Look what just happened at my friend Johnny's house.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm probably like the most open person about just weird shit in my life that I shouldn't be. And I think it's because I was, raised to believe that who gives a shit, just like, oh, this is happening. I'm just honest about stuff. People are like, you're being too open. Doesn't make sense to me.
And now we ridicule people.
That's what we do. Feelings. That's the progression.
I mean, we always ridiculed people. That's why Bob's friend wouldn't admit what happened. Also, you don't want to be the weirdo with your new friend.
That is true. Yeah. As a kid, none of my friends, like my best friend who was in here a couple years back now, growing up, I would always tell him the weird shit that I saw at night. And he always ended, he was like, what? That's so crazy. But he'd always sneak in something like, man, that was a weird dream you had. Every single time I'm like, I was wide awake. I hadn't gone to bed yet, man. Can I say that? So you almost, maybe he had told people in the past and no one ever believed, and he did say it. No one ever believes me, right?
Well, I mean, back in those days, you might tell your parents and they would be.
That I understand. Yeah, that is true. My mom actually apologized to me as a grown man because I sent her the documentary, The Nightmare. I was like, hey, if you want to know what it was like being me as a kid, go ahead and pop that bad boy in. And afterwards, she was like, I'm so sorry we didn't believe that you were seeing things. I'm like, yeah, well, it's fine,
The damage is done.
I know, yeah. Can't go back now. I have to deal with all this dry humor now and coping. It's fine.
Therapy's expensive, Mom. Thanks a lot.
Therapy is expensive. And that's actually the title of my new podcast coming out sometime on YouTube whenever I get the time. I just want to rant for an hour. And I will call it Therapy is Expensive. Great idea, Christian.
I'll be your free therapist.
Christian, nobody needs that. After hearing you talk for about 4.5 hours or years, can't even tell time anymore. So I don't think anyone needs that. I respect you and I love you, Christian. You're a great guy. You're a great guy, but let's be real here, huh? And to segue from that into this next story, this is the Lera story that I was mentioning earlier.
Oh, okay.
She's the chief medical officer. What did I call her? I don't remember. Lera, remind me. You know me, I'm crazy and out of it all the time.
Lera, I have something going on with my eye right now. I need a diagnosis.
I have her phone number. I can call her right now.
You should probably say rinse it out with saline.
And she'd be right.
Yeah.
Because we trust her. Because she's our doctor now.
Put a warm compress on it.
Get some ibuprofen, drink some water.
There you go.
It's not like the guy that I met today. I'm going to tell this story. I told it to you guys in the house.
Go.
But Lera might find this fascinating. I met a guy with his brother's eye in his eye socket today.
Okay, weird. What?
I didn't tell you the story?
No, was that during the pee break?
It was, maybe I told your dad in China.
What a weird thing to tell my dad in China.
That's where it was.
Yeah, I had this, the guy came into the store today and he was saying something was up with his eye. And I'm like, oh, and he's like, well, I have my brother's eye. And I'm like, me and I think a couple of the guys I was working with were like looking at him. Yeah. He's like, yeah. And he's like, if you look at it, and he lifted up his glasses and showed me both of his eyes really close. One's a different color. And they were. One was slightly different greenish color.
Strange.
And the pupil was bigger.
I can tell you.
And he's like, and then somebody else like, your brother gave you his eye? Well, when he died. And I'm like, we're all just sitting there like listening to this story. And his brother, somehow he has his brother's eye. So he must have lost his eye. And then his brother died and they transplanted it.
He's like, lend me an eye, brother.
I've heard about that happening, but I've never met anybody that had another person's eye.
But does that person's perspective shift from then on because it's his brother's eye?
I think there's a movie about that.
I think there's actually studies about that type of
scary
stuff.
Movie about somebody that gets somebody else's eyes and they see that person because that person was a murderer.
That does sound familiar. Yeah. If not, we're going to write that screenplay.
Not that this happened to this guy, but it was just really fascinating. I'm sorry to hijack it, but that was such a weird story.
But it's fine. Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Wow. Creepy. Hey, Lera, what do you think about that? Does that do it for you? Okie dokie.
I was hoping there'd be a reason to tell that story on one of these episodes.
You were grabbing. You're like, I'll take it.
It was just so weird to meet somebody. And he was a young guy, probably like mid-20s.
Yeah.
Just normal guys.
I hope he doesn't listen to the show and hear how grossed out I am.
I mean, I've seen him multiple times. It just somehow that popped into his brain to tell us. And I was like completely fascinated.
Wow. Well, our doctor is going to hear about that.
And I stared hard at those eyes.
I know. And see, look, check this out.
And I've been working my hand. No, I'm just joking. That last part's fake.
It's not. That was real. Anyway, I've been working since I was 16 years old. I'm 34 right now. In all that time, I've never had weird interactions with customers the way that you have, Christian. Not once have I looked deep into a customer's eyes and been like, wait, what is this story now? Wild, Christian. People find you. I'm sure of it.
People tell me stories.
They do. And we need more people to tell you stories.
I'm working on it, man.
Get in there.
I'm hoping that James being here will make people feel more comfortable with telling us stories.
We've kidnapped him. He's the new host.
Oh.
It's a new generation we're passing it down to.
You're going to have to drive here every week now.
We also all have to wear sweatpants and socks.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's true. Hey, cozy season's upon us, you know?
Actually, I'm going to do you one better. Socks and flip-flops.
Ooh, that's horrible.
I can pull that off.
How did you know that all of these were like, well, I wear socks, but...
And flip-flops. I've seen it.
I love socks and flip-flops. I do that all the time.
I don't have any flip-flops.
Wow.
And I never have.
Got pretty serious there about the flip-flops bit, Christian. Is it a image thing?
The sound, flip-flop, flip-flop. It's like somebody's following me.
Okay. Okie dokie.
Go on with the story.
Lera, after that 15-minute introduction, welcome back to part 2. If you guys haven't heard the first part of this, it was in the last episode. It involved some absolutely wild out there bonkers shit.
Last listener episode, you mean?
Yes, that is what I mean. Thank you, Christian, for once you're right on this podcast. It says, hello to the gang.
At the Freaky Deaky.
At Freaky Deaky. It is us. And James. He's part of the gang. Welcome. First off, I just want to say how much I love this.
We're going to jump you in here in just a minute.
Excuse me? We're going to what? We're going to jump him?
Jump him in.
Christian, we're not that hard off for it's fine.
It's just the way it is. It's done in gangs.
Oh, and it's an initiation is what you're thinking? And we're not really like that, James. Don't worry.
I've already picked a target. It's fine. Just say the word.
Hey, there you go. Look at that.
Say the
Fits
word.
in already. Wow. Anyway, the paranormal genre is packed with shows everywhere you look, and it's hard to find one that really stands out. But you guys have nailed the it factor, and I'm so glad I found you. Thank you, Lera. A lot of shows would have cut that out, but Christian's got a big ego, so I really got to stroke it from time. I'm not going to say that again. He's got a big ego. God, thank God I edit this show, am I right? Anyway, the story I'm about to share.
Don't leave that in. Take that out, Scott.
See, you're saying that because you want me to leave it in, and I was going to leave it in, and now I have to take it out. Christian, are you happy? Are you happy? No, it's
like
fine.
Bugs Bunny and reverse psychology over there.
So anyway, the story I'm about to share is kind of a hellish follow-up to something that happened to me a few years ago. Only my wife and I know about it because honestly, it feels so unbelievable. Sorry, I had a throwback to TFK for a moment.
What's TFK?
I'm not going to get into it.
Is that anything to do with like a Galley style kitchen?
No, it's 1,000-Foot Crutch.
What?
It's 1,000-Foot Crutch.
Oh, the band?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're a really weird emo Christian kid, you would know. Christian?
I always wanted to be emo and a Christian kid. I got one of those.
Okie dokie. So after that, let's get back into the really terrifying story. Only my wife and I knows because honestly, it feels so unbelievable. We've even questioned our own memories, but in the end, it is what it is. It happened. To give you some context, the man I'll be talking about is someone I had another creepy, unexplainable experience with before. There's no doubt in my mind he made me see things, and to say I dislike him is an understatement. The story is from the previous one. The before was the story from the last episode of Freaky Listener Stories.
I think you might have mentioned that.
I did, but now I'm mentioning it again because I have to mansplain things because I've hung out with you for so long, Christian.
I would like to thank you because I already forgot that this related to the story before.
And that's why I'm here. So it was a typical summer night. My wife and I were at home. There was this weird heaviness in the air, like something bad was about to happen.
Oh, this is the crazy guy one. Okay.
Correct?
Okay.
You are correct.
I'm back in the moment. Sorry.
There was this weird okay. It was around 10 p.m. We heard the familiar shake and rattle of C's diesel truck. If you remember from that previous story, he's the guy I had that unsettling experience with. Inviting him in would have been the last thing I wanted to do, but somehow it ended up being the first thing I did. When he pulled up, I actually asked him, "Hey, you wouldn't be able to fix our dryer, would you?" I still ask myself, what the hell was I thinking? C was more than happy to accept my invitation, despite my wife shooting me a glare. He grabbed his tools and walked into our kitchen, heading behind the dryer. Innocent enough, right? But that's when the night turned into something I'll never forget. I don't remember much small talk. All I remember is standing near the door that leads to our back porch, and I could hear C and my wife talking. But the conversation wasn't normal. It was about me. To understand how bizarre this was, my wife and I had a great relationship. We never even exchanged a cross word. But all I heard her say was how horrible I was. She said I slept around, and then C chimed in, claiming he had slept with me as well. My wife's response? Well, I'll shake your hand because at least you're honest with me. I physically couldn't speak. I couldn't move. I was completely frozen. The next thing I remember is my wife shaking me, telling me that I was screaming. I had this overwhelming sensation like I was trapped in a well, struggling to climb back to consciousness. When I finally came to, it was 11 a.m. the next day. My wife said that I had been asleep on the couch the whole night. I started crying and told her everything that had happened, but she looked at me completely astonished. She said none of that happened. I hadn't stood where I thought I stood, and there was no conversation like the one I had experienced. I believed her. She would never, ever talk about me like that. I can't explain what happened or why. Since then, I've avoided C like the plague. He did eventually move away, but not before trying to contact us several times. I still don't know what his motive was, and honestly, I didn't even want to share this because it makes me sound, well, not very sane, but it happened and I'll never forget it. I've even had some PTSD from the experience. Maybe someone in your audience will have an idea of what happened or why. It still bothers me that maybe my wife didn't hear or see things correctly either, and we'll probably never know what truly happened that night. Wow.
I'm curious to
Witchcraft?
I actually was going to go, like, I feel like the personality of C.
You feel like you have the same personality?
No,
that
it
C
sounds
does?
like a Chaz.
Hits me with more of a Jeepers Creepers vibe, but I guess Chaz.
I was coming up with the name for the person, not making him a monster. I almost feel like she was drugged.
Yeah, but see, you remember the first story? Or do I need to walk you through it?
Walk me through it.
Okay, so he comes over to her house or something like that. I'm probably getting this way wrong, but I'll get at least the main part of it. This dude goes to a house that she's at, sits down, dims the lights in the kitchen or wherever they're sitting, and then starts making weird shadow puppets on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
These puppets that he makes with his hands transform into symbols and everything like that. And she feels like she's at the bottom of a well. Again, similar to this exact story we're listening to right now. And she feels like she has to claw back to her consciousness. And she mentioned in that first story, I don't remember what kind of witchcraft it was, but he was involved in some kind of like Louisiana type.
Santeria?
I think it was hoodoo voodoo shit.
That's
I'm not sure.
As soon as you like said that he just walked in, like symboled her, and she started feeling weird, it's like that just sounds like voodoo stuff.
Yeah, and it was that neck of the woods, which is why I'm kind of leaning towards that. So to have this story now, same dude comes over, and this is someone that she would never, ever invite into her home. First thing she does is be like, hey, you wouldn't happen to be able to fix our dryer, would you? And then this all just happens to take place. I don't know, man. There's some weird, I know you don't believe like witchcraft is real or whatever, or any of that shit, but there's some crazy shit out there, man.
Voodoo sometimes sounds like it could be real. You ever seen the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow?
No, but I remember you mentioning it about 10 times on the show.
Old one. It's pretty interesting.
I think you actually mentioned that with Bob when he was here.
Bob probably saw it.
Yeah, he did.
If you guys want to see a weird voodoo movie that is said to be true, watch The Serpent and the Rainbow. I think the director was a really famous one. What do you think about this story?
I guess I missed the first listener part, so I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad you recapped it, which was nice. It sounds voodoo-ish, and like I said last time, I saw one thing. I will happily subscribe to like voodoo and witchcraft as well being real. It sounds like neither of these guys knew this person at all at first. He walked in, bewitched the lady, and then like he's taking his turn on the wife this time.
Going with definite voodoo then.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking. It's like the lady got it, and then her wife is getting it now.
But who actually got it? Because the first story was Lera who's telling the story, right? And then the second time she experiences something and her wife is like, that didn't happen at all.
But Lera was asleep the whole time, according to the wife. That's why I went straight to being drugged. And theoretically, that could have happened with the shadow puppets too.
But okay, no, because he had just entered the place. And also, let's not forget that Lera is an RN.
Right. So she would understand a roofie.
Yeah, she's very familiar with a lot of this shit. She's the TFD doctor. She actually got a promotion being on the show now. I don't know, man. Like, I know I harp on witchcraft all the time, saying that it's real, and you're always like, it's not real, or it doesn't. But I feel like stories like this kind of a point for your boy on the board there.
I don't feel like the witchcraft people say is evil is really evil.
I know,
most of the time.
But you also don't believe it exists at all.
I do. No, that's maybe I've explained myself wrong. I just don't think that there's the devil influencing witches.
Yeah, and you can
like
be 100%
the movie The Witch.
Yeah, you can be 100% wrong all you'd like, Christian, and I'm not going to stop you from this is the country for it, honestly. But what I'm saying is that if they're performing rituals or any of that shit and magic is real, then you have to open your mind to the entire spectrum of the spiritual that we talk about on the show as being potentially very real.
I need more information on Chaz.
Yes.
Quote, unquote, Chaz.
C is what, C for Chaz, maybe. Who knows?
I hope not, because that would be creepy as hell.
That would be very creepy. Larry, on the DL, let me know if you got it right. And if not, fuck that guy, right? I'm glad that you finally got away from him. He sounds like the worst.
You better reach out to her and tell her that I said this so you know whether to cut out the Chaz.
No, I leave everything in just so the people can feel, you know?
Okay.
They have to feel like they're here with us.
Yeah, I would like some more information on this individual, because I'd like to... I just want more information. I want to see, maybe it is voodoo. So,
maybe it is voodoo. That's all I wanted to hear, Christian.
Voodoo's not witchcraft, though.
Because I needed a soundbite. I got you saying all kinds of things, but not maybe it's voodoo.
Okay.
So
you're welcome.
That.
Thank you.
Beautiful. I love that story. Larry, you're like one of my favorite storytellers. She sent in, these two for sure.
Well,
but...
I'm like right here. I'm right here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I forgot James is right here. Hey, Larry.
Good one.
On the DL. I'm like, what? I was like, I know you're right there, James. It's fine. It's fine. No,
you meant in listener stories.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're an in-studio guest. That's entirely different.
But he also says that about all our stories.
That's true. Yeah.
He likes them all.
I turn out to be a pretty likable guy, you know?
I don't like the boo-boo faced man, though.
The boo-boo face man. Well, the boo-boo face, I don't, that doesn't sound very haunting at all. The boo-boo man.
I remember, I think we said it the first time
It's
we
like having
recorded.
amnesia and sitting back down like, this sounds familiar.
No, I was like, that would be the great title for a scary movie.
The boo-boo face man.
Yeah.
Wow. I honestly, in my heart of
like,
hearts.
that name would be like, oh, what's this? And then it would just be like Smile, the movie Smile, the most terrifying.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I was just picturing like a parody of the Bye Bye Man. It's the Boo Boo Man.
Yeah, isn't that supposed to be about like Slender Man or something like that? Isn't that what that was loosely based off of? 'Cause that was Jessica Biel, right?
I don't know when.
Or am I thinking? No, I'm thinking of the Tall Man. I remember that movie, but I'm mixing it up.
When
with
you said that, I automatically thought of NSYNC.
the Bye 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 Man is who you're thinking of. This is just the Bye Bye Man. So yeah, that's fine. Lera, I want to know everything about your life. You've captivated me, honestly. More scary. Actually, we do have an astral story in the next one from Lera, or might do a video for it. I don't know, but it was a wild one that her wife experienced. And that is, man, people have a lot of fun shit happen to them. And now I feel like, well, damn, the shit that I've seen has always been in my house, or I don't, you know?
I saw my floor open up in flames.
And the devil came popping out.
And a doppelganger for my friend Scott.
Yeah, and it wasn't me from the future. We figured that out very quickly. But I'm going to go ahead and close this out with, we've got another follow-up from Tiff.
Hi, Tiff.
Hi, Tiff. Your turn, James.
Oh, hi, Tiff.
There you
Sorry.
go. Yeah. You got to catch up now. And this is called Kids Can Be Kind of Creepy. With
Yes,
Tiff.
they can.
Yes, they can. Says, hi, gang. I was just thinking about something my daughter used to say, and honestly, it was a little creepy. Every time we drove past a cemetery, without fail, you probably remember this already,
yeah,
right?
I do.
Yeah, it's coming back. I knew you'd get this
I love
one.
this story.
She would wave. I'd ask her, who are you waving at, kiddo? And she'd look at me like I was the one missing something obvious and say, Mama, I'm waving at the cartoons. This happened every single time we passed a cemetery. But one day we drove by an old historical cemetery, one of those where the last person was probably buried in the 1800s. She didn't wave, so I asked, are there cartoons in there? She answered like it was the most obvious thing in the world. No, Mama, of course not. That got me thinking, if I were a spirit from the 1800s, I probably wouldn't be hanging around the present day either. Everyone I knew would be long gone, and the world would be unrecognizable. But if I had died, say 20 years ago, I'd want to check in on the people I cared about. I love every time I get messages and emails from her because she really breaks things down in a way that I haven't heard anyone in this genre talk about before. Like, this seems like so matter of fact. And when she mentioned that about the 1800s, I'm like, you know what? Kind of checks out. I like the way you think, Tiff. Thank you. It says later on, she told me the spirits are cartoons because they can walk through walls. The first time she saw Alice in Wonderland, she compared the Cheshire Cat to the cartoons she saw in cemeteries. This wasn't the only time she would see them either. She'd also spot them when she was falling asleep, especially in the car. She'd say, what's this? Oh, cartoons. And then get this glazed look in her eyes as if she was watching something only she could see, until she'd drift off to sleep.
She was watching something only she could see.
Well, there you go. Got it figured out once again. Even now, almost 7 years old, she still points at graveyards and says, look, cartoons. I've been thinking about asking her to draw them for me, and if she does, I'll definitely send them in to you guys. Thanks so much for everything you do. Your podcast has helped me get through some of the toughest times, and you guys are the best. Stay weird, you weirdos. Your friend, Tiff. P.S. I've been thinking about why she compared the Cheshire Cat to the graveyard cartoons, and I think it's because part of his body disappears, just like how she sees the spirits, you know? Who knows? Kids are kooky like that. Kids are kooky like that.
What do you think about that one, James?
I don't know. Yeah, kids are creepy. I was thinking, like, that's one thing they was talking about my grandfather seeing through the veil because he like had a foot through the door, maybe.
Yeah.
And kids are fresh. And again, to some subscriptions, like fresh spirit from the other side already, from God and whoever, they still can see through the veil a little bit.
Yeah. Christian talks about that a lot. Like, kids lose their magic or whatever. Once you start getting a corporate job and shit, you're like, oh, I guess I got to do this now.
Once the world around you starts training you to what society expects of you, you lose that.
The magic.
Yeah, the magic. Yeah. You can't see the things that you saw as a child anymore.
Yeah.
You can't remember your past lives like we talk about sometimes.
We really get jaded during the middle section of our lives, huh? That's kind of a bummer.
Right. I do like the cartoon comparison to Ghost. Because I think that's truly fascinating.
And sounds accurate to a child.
Yeah. And the Cheshire Cat from the animated version of Alice in Wonderland. That's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time.
Yeah.
Many moons ago, before my children were born, I worked at a Blockbuster Video, and we
Christian,
played
what the hell is that? No.
we played a lot of Disney because you didn't get in trouble for that. And Alice in Wonderland I put that on all the time because it was such a fascinating film. But the story is amazing in many ways. I'd love to see what the daughter draws. And if the daughter's still seeing them, it's time to ask about past lives, see what she says.
Yeah, Tiffany's sending some pretty great stories too.
And then again, the fact that when you go by an older cemetery, there's no ghost.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's some beliefs that you're only a part of this world until the people that knew you and remember you are alive. Once they're gone, there's no reason to be here.
Coco?
Is that Coco?
I think so.
Yeah, and that's
Dia de los Muertos
that is.
family?
Now
That's
that
a
you
really
said that,
interesting
that's a great movie too, Coco.
I didn't know it was related to that because I've heard that theory. Like it's usually said as almost like a phrase or something, a turn of phrase where it's like you're not dead because as long as you live on in someone's mind, then you still here with us. So that would be interesting.
The legacy lives forever.
Yeah, like that'd be interesting if that correlates to the actual spirit world.
Yeah, we might have to dig into this one a little bit more. I feel like there's an episode in this.
Yeah, that is really fascinating.
Also, have you seen Coco?
No,
Great,
because I'm a grown man.
You'll be watching it soon.
I can't do it. I used to with my dad. And can you picture my dad and I, that old guy in there, and me in a movie theater, a Pixar film movie theater, surrounded by like 8-year-olds, and I was at least 18.
Dude, I can't wait till Atlas is old enough for me to take him to the movies.
He's gonna get a kick out of that.
I'm gonna love it. But you'll probably watch Coco with him at some point.
Coco was a good one.
I've heard
watched
that about
it recently.
that. Yeah,
it was still good.
Because that's you said Day of the Dead, right? That's the
yes.
Yeah. I always
really
like
good
that too.
story.
Yeah,
the story is amazing.
Oh,
but
most of the stories are. They break your heart.
Yeah,
you cry like just a little bit.
Does that
every
too
time.
in that one?
Yeah, it's not Old Yeller, but
that dog had it coming.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
yeah, but I like dogs, and that one,
especially when they have it coming. So weird.
They used to show that at school. Bunch of crying kids at school. It was the Generation
It's the
X.
best. If they had cameras back then, they would have taken a picture of it just to cherish it longer.
I like the story though.
Yeah, we got some good stories in this episode. I like those stories.
The listener stories are great all the time.
See, they keep getting better and better because people slowly, they'll listen to something. They'll be like, I've had a lot of weird shit, but no one ever listens to me. Or like we've had a couple people, I think maybe it was Robin or something. She sent in a story and she was like, I sent that into another podcast. They literally just read it, said 2 words and moved on. I'm like, no, we get hyper focused on weird shit here. We're trying to solve it for you people. And by you people, I mean our listeners. Okay, I knew you were going there, Christian.
I wasn't.
I'm not racist.
I didn't even catch that. You were triggered yourself.
Oh, damn it. I'm that good.
Yeah.
I even get myself. It's fine. James, did you have a favorite story from the episode?
Probably the first lady that sent in a string of stories.
Amanda.
Just 'cause, Amanda.
The boo-boo face man.
The bye man.
The bye man. Yeah, it's a working title.
I feel like I need to do the dance.
I feel like I need to turn the cameras on if you're going to give that a shot.
I have to do it in a Deadpool outfit, though.
No, it only counts if it's just you and it's on TikTok.
It's a great scene.
The oldest man alive.
That is a great scene from that movie.
That is a good. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But, yeah, probably that one. Just because she had so much happening.
Yeah.
Well, she was also the witchcraft one for a little bit, and the moon blood.
Yeah, it was definitely the moon blood.
Okay,
but I think that might have been the next story, right? Because Amanda had the haunted house, and I think it was Jessica had.
Yeah, Jessica had the moon blood, the moon blood Ouija board.
Yeah, Amanda had a lot going on for a while.
True. Yeah, pretty wild.
Our listener stories make me realize I live a very boring life, and I like it.
Yeah,
safer this way.
There you go. You're gonna have your time if we do this long enough, Christian. I guarantee it. Something's gonna happen to you.
And you know what's going to be really disappointing for you?
Is that you're going to be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then just move on. And I'll be like, oh, you're not going to give any more thought to it. What's it? You're going to be like, yeah, so a demon came and he tried to take my soul last night. But anyway, got to head to work now.
Yeah.
Got to sling some dope. So anyway. So that's, it's going to be really depressing. But for a brief moment there, I'm going to really relish it like some kind of hot dog. You get it?
Hot dogs are gross.
There was a book I remember reading in kindergarten. What a stupid show this has gotten to be in kindergarten. And I forget what it was called, but I remember the line was something the hot dog tried to catch up to the mustard with all the relish. No, with all the relish of mustard. I can't remember. I was 5. I can't remember my own name half the time. I remember that fucking stupid ass kid's book. Someone else remembers it too. Please shout out in the comments.
I almost feel like I should tell my recent hot dog story though.
How many hot dog stories you got that you got a recent one?
Atlas and I were at the park one day.
Is this gonna be weird?
No, not that kind of weird. So we're walking around.
What kind of weird was I go? Now you made it weird.
They had like a little farmer's market down at the park nearby here a couple months ago or a month ago. I took Atlas and we're walking around. He's having a good time. He went down the slide, all that cool stuff. And then I'm like, you want to eat? He's like, yes. Or he said, okay.
Okay.
Because that's what he says for yes. And so we went. I'm like, do you want a hot dog? And he's like, okay. And then I got him the hot dog and he's like, where's the hot dog? And he would not eat it. And then when I left, I was like, he probably thought we were going to eat a real dog.
He does that. There's been times he's asked when Auntie's coming, and I'll be like, I don't know, whenever she wants to come. He's like, eat Auntie? And I'm like, what? No, dude, we're not going to eat my sister, you weirdo.
Then I worried that I traumatized him a little bit because he was going to eat a dog.
He's like, hey, I'm ready.
He was committed, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, Grandpa's crazy. He told me I was going to eat a dog, and he put this weird-looking meat in front
Put a
of
weird
me.
cylinder meat in front of me. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I saw was the preservatives in my baby mind because I still have baby magic.
Wow. And we're back. So, yeah, James, thanks again for coming out, man. This
Yeah,
has
it was
been-
awesome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate it for having me.
Of course, man. You're welcome literally anytime.
Yeah, anytime you're down this way, let us know.
Next time you feel like driving 6 hours to come talk in a weird converted garage with 2 weirdos, that's entirely open.
This is a garage?
It was.
I've never seen a car in here.
Well, not really that guy, am I? Anyway,
I'm down. I'm around, kind of, if 6 hours is around. But, you know,
it's way around.
closer than Mississippi.
That is true. That is very true.
6 hours. Alaskans like to make those drives up to Fairbanks and back. I don't know how many people come to the store. Yeah, I got to drive to Fairbanks. I'm like, maybe you
I
should.
just want to be blitzed out of my
I'm
mind
like,
while I
yeah.
do it.
Maybe that's not a good thing.
Yeah. These are the choices we make, Christian.
Hey, better than alcohol.
There you go. So to leave everyone on a wholesome note, don't drink.
I mean,
right?
you can drink, just
And we're back. Okay.
don't be excessive. I mean, why do I have to mansplain this?
Get to the point, the damn point. Christian, please get to the point.
So, yeah. It's always like an awkward hush that falls immediately after that sharp.
I just
Abrupt
can't believe
ending.
I live in a world where there's songs made
It's going to be
that
a
are
whole album.
inspired by me.
I've decided, Christian, I'm going to make an entire artist profile on Spotify, and there's going to be an entire album of songs for you from this podcast.
And you know what I'll do? I'll play it at work.
I know you will. And that's
You know
why
what I
I'm doing
played
it.
today when nobody was paying attention? Danny Go.
Danny Go. Wow. And people are like, fuck yeah, this
No,
rocks.
I was just
This
laughing to
slaps.
myself.
So
Yeah.
you should also just like post in somewhere in the middle of the song just one of his bites that you've recorded.
I have done
just
that
to
a couple
sneakily
times.
get them out.
There you go. I've done it a couple times. Sometimes you just, along with the beat, you're like, I am wrong, or whatever. And you're like, fuck yeah, dude. It slaps. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week, where James, unfortunately, will not be with us, but he'll be with us in spirit as a brother in Christ.
Oh,
Isn't that right,
okay.
Christian?
So as long as it's not the witchcraft stuff.
I'll do my best. Whichever one gets me here sooner.
There you go. There you go.
A broom.
Wow. Okay. Well,
'Tis the season. I mean, technically,
it's
fall,
getting weird.
witches be falling off broomsticks in the fall.
Wow. Wow. I'm so glad the show ended. I'm so glad that it ended a while ago.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dogman is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night. And the Hat Man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian, you love a can of beans. And you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong, it's quite an impressive streaky. This song has rambled on too long. Welcome to the Freaky Deaky. Your name is Christian, you're named ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. quickly. This song is rambled on too long. Welcome to the freaky deaky. Also ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely because they believe in you. Welcome to the freaky deaky.